You're listening. Taste and see. I know. Y'all tell me
Just got done filming another thing.
I know, right? How you doing? Good, man. Everywhere.
How to check you.
Good.
So, where do you see the podium? It says Salvation Social. It says town. Right, so I guess that's what you're doing. That's for somebody one day. Okay, so yeah, over at the right, this is a microphone for the audience that's questions, and you just have to approach the podium. That's right. Yeah? Yeah, no problem. Good, thank you. Good luck. Oh, where's the speaker? Oh, the speaker's on the side. You'll get right.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. We'll be starting shortly, but if you are a member of the media, please come to the front. If you're a member of the media, please come to the front. We'll be starting shortly.
Why don't you come out? Why don't you come to the media first? I'll be on it. No,
How long has it been? Well, it can't be long because he has to speak at a conference. Good trip.
I love what you're doing. I've been watching everything. Everyone used to give us turkeys. Every year. For our family.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I am Reverend Dr. Deborah Blanks. Episcopal Church in the city of Atlantic City, New Jersey. It is my great privilege to welcome Mayor Ras Baraka, Reverend Dr. Charles Boyer, Mr. Ryan Haygood, and all assembled joining us virtually at St. James AME Church, the oldest African American church in the city, established in 1875. And this very week, we formally celebrate our 150th year, our sesquicentennial church anniversary. Honoring the call of Micah 6:8 to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with God. I was asked to open in prayer, and as I prepare to invoke the presence of the sovereign God, the Divine One, I invite you to hear the words of the renowned preacher, prophet, mystic, and social activist Howard Thurman, the Reverend Dr. Howard Thurman. Dr. Thurman wrote these poignant words, and I quote, "Do not be silent. There is no limit to the power that may be released through you." End of quote. I invite you to join me in the spirit of prayer. Let us pray. Loving and liberating God, we gather this day not in silence, but lifting the sound of our collective voice like a trumpet in Zion, so that the power released in us and through us is manifested in your world. We offer thanksgiving for promises, possibilities, and new opportunities that stretch before us with the new administration elected to serve for the common good of all in the state of New Jersey. And while we offer thanksgiving, we recognize that those elected to serve often campaign in poetry, but will govern in prose. Thus, our prayer is that governing will translate into policy that honors the humanity of all and the ultimate call of Matthew 25, to feed the hungry, to give drink to the thirsty, to clothe those who are naked, to visit the stranger, to do all within our power, to be your living, breathing presence in the world that you love. Empower us not to be silent and release power within us, for we pray this in your name. Amen.
Thank you, Dr. Blanks, and the historic St. James African Methodist Episcopal Church for hosting us today. Thank you to everyone who has joined us at this critical moment. I want to give special thanks to Brother Ryan Haygood and the New Jersey Institute for Social Justice. I thank them for their tireless advocacy that secured early voting during COVID. They fought to abolish the line in New Jersey, restored voting rights to over 80,000 justice-involved people, and convened the Reparations Council, bringing together some of the greatest minds in our state to address the issues impacting Black communities. I also thank Mayor Ras Baraka, whose courageous and historic primary run helped to galvanize progressive voters and led to Black Agenda gatherings across the state that have engaged more than 2,000 people in person and through submissions. I also want to thank the Black Church in New Jersey. Particularly the General Baptist Convention under the leadership of the Reverend Dr. Samaj Van Zant and the AMEs under my Bishop Samuel Lawrence Green Sr.'s leadership. It was the Black Church that embraced early voting from the start, socialized souls to the polls, and rallied Black faith voters across this state since its inception. We thank all of our partners, the New Jersey Million Voters Project, who knocked on doors, the Black operatives inside and outside the Cheryl Caldwell campaign. All of this Black solidarity and intentionality is what delivered the historic Black voter turnout we saw in this election. Sisters and brothers, Black people understood the assignment. We knew we had to push back against the anti-Black posture and violence from this administration. We understood the dehumanizing, punitive nature of the MAGA movement and refused to give Trump a seat in Trenton. And we understood that this election was bigger than any one candidate. It was about us. Our messaging was clear. Our lives, our safety, our future, our prosperity, and our agenda was on the ballot. This is why we are here today, to correct the narrative that has largely ignored this truth. Black people delivered. We delivered to keep Trump out and to ensure our agenda is seen. Let's be clear. In this election, white voters in majority voted for the MAGA candidate. Yet Black voters turned out in record numbers and delivered victory. We congratulate Governor-elect Michael Sherrill and Lieutenant Governor-elect Dale Caldwell, who I might say is a Black Methodist. We congratulate them on their resounding win. Which was powered by a robust and strong, diverse coalition. And because of this turnout, Assembly Democrats will now have a supermajority. That matters, not just as a political statistic, but because the electorate as a whole and Black voters specifically rejected the punitive policing, prison, and sentencing policies being peddled from the right. This supermajority that Democrats benefit from gives a mandate and a clear message to advance policies that protect our communities and reject those that harm us. So in this lame duck session, we call on the Assembly and the Senate to reject Senate Bill 4613, which would strip the Attorney General of oversight of the state police. We call on them to reject the punitive youth waiver bills that roll back years of progress We call on them to pass the use of force codification bill and pass the second look bill, which would release elderly people that are being left to die in prison. This election was not about candidates. It was about Black people. It was about policy. Therefore, we fully expect that the governor-elect's transition and cabinet appointments, senior staff, and agency leadership will fully reflect the coalition that got them elected. We expect an attorney general who will defend democracy, fight anti-Blackness, and stand for the poor, the left out, the lost, and the vulnerable. Someone who will build on and prioritize the restorative justice frameworks we have fought for over these past 8 years. We expect leadership in all the agencies, and especially the DCA, the EDA. Turn to your neighbor, give somebody a high five, say the EDA. Turn to your other neighbor, say new neighbor. The Treasury. And the senior staff in the front office who reflect our values and speak for us when we're not in the room. And as we move forward to the first 100 days of the Cheryl Caldwell administration, we're calling for bold action. Biannual meetings with Black leadership, with the governor and the governor's cabinet, ensuring our voices shape policy, a state budget that prioritizes restorative youth employment programs, housing for first-time Black home buyers to help deal with the racial wealth gap, and freedom schools as places of liberation and learning. Immediate passage of Senator Singleton's Faith in Housing bill, enabling faith institutions to turn properties into affordable housing. And convening targeted work groups on economic development for neighborhoods like Trenton and North and Atlantic City, and advancing Black maternal health legislation to build a midwifery workforce and invest in community-led programs. Finally, to speak on advancing voting rights in the lame duck session, addressing the racial wealth gap in the first 100 days, and moving forward on our most foundational agenda item, I am proud to present one of the greatest civil rights leaders in the country, a gift to New Jersey, the CEO and president of the New Jersey Institute for Social Justice, Brian Hager.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. So what happens when your dear friend is the Reverend Dr. Charles Boyer, when he goes first and then the mayor goes last, they have to gas up that guy in the middle. Right, so that's that, just so you know what's happening. This is what they call brotherly love. Some folks call it black on black crime. Right? I can't tell you how gratifying it is to see you all. We are in Atlantic City, you all. And I'm humbled by this moment, and that's because I'm seeing you all, and I'm thinking about this particular moment. I'm so grateful to be in this precious space led by the first woman to lead this church in its history. And when she talked about history, I got to be honest, I thought about us as Black folks in this space. This morning, I took a quick walk along the boardwalk and I looked at the ocean. And I thought about that ocean. And I thought about the beauty of that ocean. And I thought about us as Black folks. If we had been on that ocean a couple hundred years ago, what our voyage would have been like. What it would have been like to have been stolen from our native land, kidnapped and transported across the Atlantic Ocean, only to arrive as enslaved people in this state. And I thought about what those hundreds of years of uncompensated labor would mean for the state. This state would become one of the wealthiest states in America on the strength of our stolen and uncompensated labor. And I thought about what it would be like to be one of those ancestors whose labor was stolen for centuries, whose labor built New Jersey to one of the wealthiest states in America, and the majority of people in New Jersey wouldn't even know that slavery happened here. And I thought, why? Why a black agenda? And why do you need a black agenda in 2025? And I thought about this scripture that has been in the church, the black church, that has been inspiring me from Nehemiah 4:17. You know this one. This was a situation in the Old Testament where folks were facing their own chaotic moment. And God told them to do two things. He said, with one hand, I want you to fight the moment that you're in. And with the other hand, I want you to build. I want you to fight and build simultaneously. Fight with one hand and build with the other hand. And black people are a literal example of what it means in New Jersey to be fighting and building. We've been fighting and building since we got to this state. And why a black agenda? Because if we're not careful, the fighting and building, as it always has, will advantage everyone except for those fighting and building. This most recent gubernatorial election is such a vivid example of the fighting and the building. And Reverend Ware alluded to these numbers. I love numbers. One of my favorite rappers of all time, Mos Def, talks about today's mathematics. I just want to share for those of you who came of age in the 1990s, what those numbers look like in this election, because they're critical to Reverend Ware's point about the way that black people showed up. It was in this election that Mikey Sherrill won the contest by a decisive 14 percentage points. Now, this was a margin that surprised even her staunchest supporters, and as Reverend Boyer said, this has rightly been called a mandate. And the question is, but for what and from whom? Because Governor-elect Sherrill lost the white vote by more than 100,000 votes. Wow. 52% of white voters, who made up 70% of the electorate, voted for her opponent, who, as you know, was supported by President Donald Trump. Only 41% of white men and 54% of white women pulled the lever for Governor-elect Sherrill. It was 94% of black voters who voted, who delivered the election for Governor Mikey Sherrill. Black voters came through resoundingly, just as black voters did for her predecessor, the current Governor Philip Murphy, in 2017 and in 2021. So did Latino voters, 68%, Asian voters at 82%. In total, voters of color delivered a 500,000 vote advantage that powered Governor-elect Mikey Sherrill into office. You know, the way that black people showed up in these elections recalls Nicole Hannah-Jones' assertion that, quote, more than any other group in this country's history, black people have served generation after generation in an overlooked but vital role. It is we who have been the perfecters of democracy. And I think about in these most perilous times when black people, when other people of color more broadly are under relentless attack, the stakes couldn't be higher for us and the mandate couldn't be clearer. And if we're not careful, folks will mistake how Governor-elect got into office. If we're not careful, folks will tell a story about how she got powered into election in a way that doesn't tell a story about our vital role. And the reason that matters is because very often we think of voting as a singular act. As we show up on early voting period or on election day, pull the lever, go home, and watch what happens. And this moment is a precious moment to ensure that the votes we cast have the power attached to them that we deserve. And so 2 quick pieces. First, let's lift up 2 quick things in lame duck session, building on the work of democracy that Reverend Boyer lifted up. Then I just want to share a few foundational things I think should guide Governor-elect Sherrill as she steps into office. First is that building on the historic restoration of the right to vote, 83,000 people, we have been pushing legislation that will also restore jury service to people with convictions. Our state in New Jersey is worse than Alabama's. It's a permanent disqualification on jury service of folks who've been convicted of a crime. That's a population of more than 500,000 people. Nearly a quarter of them are Black. That lifetime ban makes New Jersey worse than the state of Alabama. This policy doesn't just silence voices, it reinforces the very inequalities of the justice system that we seek to remedy. And the second thing is, as democracy is under attack nationally, we have a precious opportunity to build and reinforce the work we've done around voting to create our own New Jersey Voting Rights Act. This is an effort supported, come on now, by more than 60 organizations. 60 organizations, many of them are in the room. We're on, as Governor Murphy calls it, the razor's edge in getting this passed. So if you see Senate President Nicholas Scutari out and about, whether it's in a room like this with no smoke or another room with some smoke, would you bring your own smoke and urge him to support this bill so that we can get it done in this lame duck so Governor Murphy can sign it before he leaves office? Really quickly, in her administration, Governor-elect Sherrill will inherit one of America's wealthiest and most diverse states. But she'll also inherit one of its most unequal. Because by design, dating back to slavery, Black people in the state face among the worst racial disparities in the nation. In the areas of health, education, environmental exposure, incarceration, school segregation, and wealth. The racial wealth gap in our state stands at a staggering $643,000 between Black and Latino families and their counterparts. And that is by design. Black infants in our state are more than 3 times as likely to die in their first year as white infants, and Black women are nearly 7 times as likely to die during childbirth than white mothers. Black children, by design, attend some of the most segregated schools in this country, and New Jersey spends $456,000 to incarcerate kids in a youth prison system where Black youth are 21 times more likely to be in prison than a white youth, the worst racial disparity in America. These racial disparities reflect the lived realities of the very voters who made Governor-elect Sherrill's election possible. And it's that inequitable foundation that's led directly to today's political earthquake. And so I say, to meet the mandate of the 94%, New Jersey must adopt an agenda that's transformative, not symbolic, that's bold, not reactive or defensive, that's reparative, not performative. Because if we're to advance the policies advocated by the statewide Black Agenda and the work of the New Jersey Reparations Council, it's going to take all of us to hold our new administration accountable. Chief among those things to hold them accountable is around the racial wealth gap. New Jersey must, under Governor-elect Sherrill's leadership, substantially invest in reparative measures like expanding first-generation home ownership for Black communities, increasing access to capital for Black-owned businesses, ensuring that contracts reach Black communities. Maryland Governor Wes Moore, who walked the streets of the South Ward where I live, and our councilman is Patrick Counts over to my right, he walked alongside Governor-elect Sherrill. He understands that closing the racial wealth gap in Maryland is, quote, the unfinished work of repair. And so he announced an historic plan to invest hundreds of millions of dollars into Black home ownership, Black-owned businesses, and a full ecosystem of work, wages, and wealth that our communities have been denied for generations. When you make this argument to folks, they will say to you, well, where is that in the budget? And where are the resources to make that so in Black communities? And as you know, it's never a question of resources. I told you we're one of the wealthiest states in America. That's what they call young folks, they will tell you they call that gaslighting. It's never one of resources, it's how they prioritize the investments in our communities, and we deserve it. And the last thing I'll say is, why the Black agenda? Why the focus on the Black agenda? And that's because when Black people are connected to the best of a place, when we have an opportunity to thrive, to flourish, to win, it's always been the case that that's not a singular win, that it makes the whole society, the whole state of New Jersey, the whole Garden State better for it. The last thing I'll say before I bring up the mayor is, we got to tell the truth. We got to tell the truth about how we got here. And you can't tell the truth about how we got here until we talk about New Jersey's original sin of slavery. You can't imagine what it was like when this church was founded and what it was founded to confront. And we have inherited that rich legacy of fighting and building. And if we are to reap the harvest that we are deserving of, we got to lead this state in a truth-telling and repair process that includes laying the foundation for all these investments and urging New Jersey to issue finally a meaningful, formal apology for slavery and its enduring legacy. That legislation, offering a formal apology for slavery and its enduring legacy, should be paired with accountability and action. And it should permanently fund the Homicide Commission so that New Jersey students and all of us learn about our history. As I shared, more than half of all of our residents don't know that slavery happened here, and that's a shame. And we are, all of us in this room and beyond, in this church and beyond, are to take responsibility for that. Last thing I'll say, Mayor Brock, is finally, the leadership must reflect the 94% that it serves. The leadership must reflect the 94% that it serves. Governor-elect Cheryl's mandate requires that her cabinet, her judiciary, her appointments to boards and commissions be as Black and as diverse as New Jersey itself. Governor-elect Cheryl's mandate from the 94% requires that her cabinet, her judiciary, and her appointments to boards and commissions be as Black, not sleeping, as Black. 3 more times, as Black, last time, as Black as New Jersey itself. And I would say the last word, she made an excellent choice in Lieutenant Governor Dale Caldwell. Excellent choice in Lieutenant Governor Dale Caldwell. Dale Caldwell's responsibilities are vast and overwhelming. One of them is not to be the Black whisperer. And very often, Reverend Dr. Charles Boyd, very often Black people ascend to positions, whether in elected office, in a company, in a college campus, somewhere, and they become the sum total of what they call DEI. So what do you do about the racial wealth gap? Maternal health, passing the Immigrant Trust Act. What do you do about those? Oh, that's over there. His job is not to be the Black whisperer. His job is to support the institutionalized agenda of Governor-elect Mikey Sherrill, who prioritizes the 94%. He works on the inside to effectuate the vision that she has because we hold her accountable to it, not that he carries it all. Because as you all know, that's a setup. You all have applied for jobs before, you got the job. You got in the job as a Black person. And you were in the company. And you were the only Black person in the company, or wherever it was. And you realize, oh gosh, I just got got. They just played me. And that is not Lieutenant Governor-elect Dale Caldwell's job. That's actually Mikey Sherrill's job. That's why she was elected with 94% of you all's vote to carry the agenda of the 94%. I was sleeping. To carry the agenda of the 94%. So that's how it goes. You had the Reverend Dr. Charles Boyd. Right, there was an enclosed space when he came to this church, and he took off like a part of the roof. Then they brought it down a little bit. This guy in the middle, but then the last guy, his responsibility is to take the rest of the roof off. And this is my mayor of the mighty, mighty city of Newark, New Jersey. By the way, if you're from Newark, would you just raise your hand one time in the group? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. This man leads that mighty, mighty city in an incredible way. One of the best mayors in the land. Heart for black people and all people. He is the governor of Black New Jersey. Mayor Raz J.
I'm just trying to say it's over there. So I just want to first thank all you guys for coming out, taking a break from the league for a minute, and indulging Ryan Haygood, Reverend Boyer, myself, and many people. I want to thank the shepherd of this house, obviously, for inviting us into her home and making sure that we had a warm space to do this at. And I saw there are a lot of people in here, but I also want to point out the mayor of the city, Atlantic City, who's here, Mayor Smalls. I thought there's a whole lot of other mayors in here, but I'm going to acknowledge Mayor Smalls because we're in his house. I want to acknowledge the chairman of the Democratic Party, Leroy Johnson. I want to acknowledge also somebody who's in the audience who has been walking around with us in this fight for Black Agenda, John Harmon, who's out there as well. Been on the forefront of outlining the disparity that exists in this state that many people have ignored and continue to ignore over and over and over again. The folks in this room, just the diversity of position and power that's in this room is incredible. If you can see it from the perspective that I see it at from up here, you can see the different people that are here in this room and the positions that they hold in the private sector, in the public sector, the elected officials, nonprofit organizations, developers that look like us, that are out here. This kind of diversity of folks is the same group of people that elected Mikey Sherrill and Dale Caldwell. That worked collectively to do that. We just have a problem after we elect people collectively of staying together collectively. We have a communal act of putting people in office, but once they get there, we separate. And usually because people start passing things out. That causes us to separate. And then we become reliant on the things we get for ourselves and not for us collectively. Though you know that you would not get anything for yourself if it wasn't for our communal and collective effort. So it's easy to appoint a few people and give a few people contracts and allow them to be the ambassadors for power while keeping power out of our hands collectively, which means that you are in essence guaranteeing that your children's children will be in the same position 40, 50 years from now that you are in today. because they're going to have to continue to bargain for you, because we bargain in that. This press conference is a bargain. We are thankful, and God knows that I worked hard. We are grateful and thankful for Governor Cheryl, and we'll call that because that's what she is, and our Lieutenant Governor. We worked hard for it. We prayed for it. We walked for it. We knocked on doors for it. Right? We are incredibly grateful for where we are, but we are not comfortable and satisfied with where we are. We got here to get somewhere else. The only reason we came here is so we could be somewhere else. We come to church not because we perfect. We come to church because we ain't perfect. We show up in church because there's a lot of work we need to do on ourselves. We know you in church because God is still working on you. Right? We come here because we want forgiveness. We want to be able to get up the next day and do the things, and we know we did some wrong stuff. We need some forgiveness for that. So we come to church as the beginning to something. Yes. So we came to this election as the beginning of something. We're here to begin something, to start something. And so we have to ask, what is in our hands? That is what, Adam St. Powell gave the famous speech, what is in our hands? Now it's relevant now because what is in our hands, not in our individual hands, what is in our collective hands? He was talking about your vote is in your hands, but we have something greater than our vote in our hands. And he was making a comparison to that, to David with a rock and a slingshot in his hand. That he took down the giant with a rock and a slingshot, but we don't know the whole story because David didn't kill the giant with a rock and a slingshot. In fact, he used the rock and a slingshot to knock the giant down. The vote is what knocks the giant down. He used the rock and the slingshot to knock the giant down when he took the giant's own sword. The weapon that the giant used to kill him with, he took the giant's sword and used the giant's sword to slay the giant. And so our election is the rock that knocked the giant down. Now we got to get our hands on the sword. Because we didn't do this for nothing. I didn't travel up and down this state for nothing. I didn't get up early in the morning for nothing. I didn't do them interviews for nothing. I didn't humble myself for nothing. We want the sword. We want the sword because the sword is what we need to slay the giant. And you know the backstory of David, he didn't have a sword. See, they think we wanted to use the rock and the slingshot. The fact is, David didn't have a sword. David didn't have a sword because they didn't make swords in David's town. He didn't have access to a sword. He didn't have the capital he needed. He didn't have the resources he needed. He didn't have the factories as needed. His friends were unemployed, so they couldn't go to work because there was no factories to build swords in his town. So he didn't have no sword, so he had to use what was in his hand. He went and found 3 smooth stones in a slingshot. A rag, actually, not really a slingshot, that's a rag. An old dirty rag that he had access to and used the rag and the rocks to knock the giant down. But the reality is there was no swords in his town because it was mandated that there be no sword making in his town. So it was deliberate. You mean they did this on purpose? Yeah, they did it on purpose. You mean they said you couldn't build swords? Well, why would you want David and them to have no sword? because they wanted to be the only one with the sword. Because they knew it, there would become a time and point in history that we would get sick and tired of being sick and tired. That eventually we would want what they had. And that would cause conflict. If there is conflict, then we better make sure they ain't got no sword. So we're going to make it illegal for them to build swords in their neighborhood. Oh, but look at God. Look at God. God said, when you got me, you don't need a sword right now. All you need is a rag and 3 spoon stone, some faith and the will to fight back, a soul to the pole. That's all you need is a good preacher in a basement church, a few buses and some bean pies and sandwiches. We're going to get you to the polls, and we're going to get this woman elected, because God said, let's get this done, but now it's up to you to get your hands on the sword. They told me to wrap it up. This is the only way I know how to wrap it up, John. We came to get our sword. We came to get our sword. And I think we own a sword by now. We own one. And I'm going to close on this. Frederick Douglass said, power concedes nothing without demand. So don't get upset because we demanding stuff. We ain't asking you for nothing. We ain't begging you for nothing. I ain't begging, I ain't asking, I ain't crawling, I don't scratch but I don't itch, or dance when ain't no music playing. At the end of the day, we demanding a few things. We got a long list of demands because power concedes nothing without demand. That's what we know. And Paul Robeson, we know Paul Robeson, New Jersey. Paul Robeson says the power of our demand is that what we ask for is right.
Amen.
That what we're asking for is actually correct. That we're not asking for anything wrong. Anything that we should not have. Anything that doesn't belong to us. Anything we didn't pay for already. Because everything I asked for, somebody already paid for it. There's a long list of people who don't have what I have because they paid for it. I just got the benefit of it, but they already paid for it. So everything we ask for has already been paid for. I don't care what you give me, foreign subsidies, welfare, housing assistance, gas and energy credits. I want it all. Child tax credits, health care credits, free college credits. People always y'all want free stuff. Oh no. We don't want nothing for free. We already paid. Can't you tell? We already paid. We just want what we paid for. We want what we paid for. Oh yeah. See, the easy part is over. We already elected somebody. Now we got to get down to it. And the reality is when all of us leave here today, we can't leave separately. We have to leave collectively. We can't leave apart. We have to be communal in this. We have to say this is what we want, not what I want. People always asking me, what do you want? Well, what I want, you don't have for me. What do we want is the greater question. Because if you take care of us, in the us is me. If we taken care of, I'm taking care of. Isn't that right? So we have a black agenda. It's real. We have actual document. Thanks to the Salvation and Social Justice and all the folks that put it together. We have a real document. And we're going to be able to put it in people's hands, and the press will be able to get it, and the governor and everybody else will be able to get it, a real document. And we have a list of positions as well. Say these are positions that we think should be available to us. Don't be ashamed about it. These are a few people who we think are qualified for these positions. That's what we're going to do. And we're going to give it to people. And basically, look, if there's 15 issues and you do 1 or 2, then okay, we'll figure that out. If we give you 15 positions and you do 1 or 2, okay, we'll figure that out. We'll make a decision about what that looks like. But not 0. Not 0, right? This is real. This is not performative. I just want you to understand, this is not performative. This is very real. We have very real demands. And so the press, I know some press folks here. Samantha Gordon, where you at? Put all this together probably. But at the end of the day, all of the folks that all the press people, I know you got a zillion and one questions, y'all can direct them to Samantha. See how we do the black woman? Y'all can direct them to Samantha. She's gonna take care of it and make sure that we get it, because we do have to get out of here. And we need to make sure we're able to get you access to the actual document, the Black Agenda, because we had several meetings across the state. We have one coming up December the 13th in Shiloh, in Plainfield. We're going to be in Plainfield, Shiloh. That's one of our closing meetings. We're going to be able to distribute the actual Black Agenda so you can have it in your hand or get it online. So you can, and it's very, very comprehensive. So it includes all of us collectively. So once again, I want to thank the pastor of this church. Give a hand to Reverend Boyer, to our good buddy Ryan Haywood, and Samantha Gordon as well.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you. For the elected officials who are here. For the elected officials who are here, the press conference is over. Press, you can reach out to me for any questions. Elected officials, we love to do a group shot. We understand that everyone's been a part of this Black Agenda effort. We're going to do a quick group shot. For those of you who have to leave, we understand the mayor has to as well. But thank you all for coming.
Now, in concluding this, when the slave traders and the black traders of Africa, traitors, different, traitors, when the slave traders and the traitors of Africa called themselves Muslims, were fighting each other and carrying on and weakening their people over there so that the white traders come in there and get us, take us on slave ships and bring us here. Now, all right? Yeah. So now, when all that happened, what you think was happening to our human soul? Let me tell you, God has given me an eye to see into the very abstract form of the human being by my study of the Quran. Yes. Now, I'm going to tell you what was happening. I know, as if I was there. The soul of those victims had given up on this world. They knew they were going to their death. They knew they were going to circumstances that were going to finish them off. They would never have their lives again. They knew that. But in their soul, they were saying, our children will one day be free again, and they will serve God. We have failed, but our children will one day serve God. And now their prayer that they prayed in the deep recesses of their soul has come true. And not only are the descendants of the black people of Africa from Islam coming to Islam, taking up the divine cause, but those who never were Muslims, their children from Christianity, their children from Judaism, their children from paganism are embracing Islam in America. And we are going to build new Africa. New Africa, right here in the United States. Allahu Akbar. And the soul of those suffering victims, they're rejoicing because of us here today.